Good morning. We're going to call the February 3rd meeting to order, and we're going to have a Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Prayer?
Sure, why not? Please pray with me. Dear Lord, thank you for the opportunity to be here today to discuss county business as we make our decisions. Amen.
I want to add an extra prayer for work on our cyber and phone system.
Thank you, we need this.
I'll take that.
Yes. Very good. Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Franker,
Here.
Commissioner Bustecker,
Here.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Here. Okay. I will accept a motion to approve the digital audio video recordings of the previous board session from Tuesday, January 27th, 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Second that.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso,
Yes.
Commissioner Bustecker,
Yes.
Commissioner Franker.
Yes. Okay, so we have an appointment today. We have the public hearing for the Fort Seneca Alley Vacation. We have a sign-up sheet we'll pass around, if everybody would please sign that. And Barb, you have anything, or want to just turn it over to Mark?
Oh, just turn it over to Mark.
Thanks, can I come up?
Yep, yeah.
I can see everybody. The process for vacations, alleys, roadways is a commissioner's assignment, but it's something that the county engineer's office helps with a lot through the entire process. And I kind of like to give a little bit of background and understanding of the vacation process, mostly because for a lot of our constituents, a lot of our residents, this is maybe the first and only interaction you may ever have with your county commissioners. And so we want it to be a good one, at least a learning one where you understand this portion of government, the responsibilities that they have. So Ohio law establishes 4 ways of vacating roads. Really, there's only 3 that are pertinent to us. And one of them is more difficult than the other, of course, so every level seems to get more difficult for the manner in which we vacate roads. There is a way for individual landowners to do it, the way that this alley vacation was put together. There's a way for the Director of Transportation, actually the Director of ODOT, the one person, the one director to ask for vacations, mostly of state highways. And then there's a way for township trustees to do it by themselves, or a way for county commissioners to do it by themselves if there's a road that they just don't want anymore. That has never happened, at least not that I know of. Township trustees is usually the way it happens, and then landowners the second way. We've never had one where the Director of Transportation or the county commissioners, those 2 ways really aren't things that happen, at least haven't happened in Seneca County. So when, for instance, in this situation, when Fort Seneca was set out, years, over a century ago, lots were laid out and roads were laid out, or streets were laid out, right-of-ways, and those right-of-ways set out back then are just like right-of-ways they set out today, where those pieces of ground where roads could have been built, alleys could have been built, and usually never were actually given to and owned by the township trustees. As part of the dedication of the plat, when the landowner dedicated that land to the county and said, we are making this a subdivision for people to be able to live and build houses on, we are also dedicating the roads. The other way roads were established is the way most county roads are and most township roads are, where the actual landowner owns to the center line of the road, and then we have just an easement. We have a right-of-way on top of that. So regardless if we ask for a vacation for a township road, we would only be vacating the right-of-way on top of the ground where nobody's actually acquiring any more land. All right, and then the other way is we have these subdivisions, like in this situation, where the ground itself today is owned by the township trustees. And so they would actually be giving up land, transferring it half to one side, half to the other side, depending upon that ownership. So, any questions about that? I mean, that's just a little background about how these roadways were established and how the vacation process works. So as far as the different methods, the process is largely the same. A petition is filed with the county commissioners. In this particular situation, They had it signed by 12 freeholders. Freeholders in the law are people of interest, right? So you're a freeholder, you hold interest in that. We consider that, there's no real definition to what a freeholder is, so anybody that lives in the township. It's people in the immediate area, people, yeah, the closer to the improvement, the better, but anybody in the township really serves as a freeholder, somebody of interest, because that township owns that land, they're representing the township, or trustees are representing them, so everybody has interest in what the trustees do. So, being that the township trustees own this land, and traditionally what we do is, through the process, we have what was filed, the petition. We are required to schedule a viewing and a hearing, so it has to be set out at least 20 days before the viewing and hearing take place. The viewing we had yesterday at 9 o'clock in the morning at the site. The viewing is critical and required by law because the commissioners are acting on whether or not to give up ground, whether or not to give up access and their right-of-way, or with the trustees' approval, giving land away back to the landowners. It's important that they put their eyes on it. They have to see the improvement physically, so today, during the hearing, when they hear testimony, they know what you're talking about. They've seen it. They had to put their eyeballs on it. It's required by law. Yesterday was actually a public meeting. Attendance was taken, the meeting was called to order. It was a whole public meeting, just like today's meeting. It was really cold, there weren't a whole lot of people there, and the meeting lasted all of 1 minute. So it may have been a world record meeting, but meeting nonetheless. So in the process, and I had mentioned that a minute ago, that in the process of this type of vacation, when the township owns the ground and the township has it, the township is required by law to sign off on the transfer, or they have to approve it. So when the vacation comes in, one of the notices, we notify the trustees, which we talked with them last week, about it to see if we were going to get a notice, if we were going to get a resolution, which generally always comes. To my knowledge, and I don't know if we're going to get one, I don't know if we've got one. So in this particular situation, while we are having, and this is just my recommendation, but I did talk with the prosecutor's office, and they verified this, that at this stage, the hearing we will have, the testimony we will have, but without a resolution from the trustees saying that they approve of getting rid of their ground, because they own it, it's theirs, your hands are tied as to whether or not you can actually approve it. You may want to, we do this all the time as far as these alley vacations go. It's basically your yard, right? I mean, what do we care?
You just said it was a township.
No, it's yours, yes, it's your ground. But it's your yard. You know what I mean? You are right, it's the township's ground, but to drive by and look left, nobody would know that
It's a
it
yard
wasn't.
now, but
That's what I'm
for-
saying.
yes.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Yes, but it belongs to the township.
That is correct. And so the township has the right to say, no, we want it, yes, we do want this to happen. I don't know that that's going to happen, and so my recommendation is that it either would have to be tabled or not accepted and reapplied once we get something from the township.
Is there other ways, Mark, of when a township trustee refuses to abandon an alley, what steps can be taken?
Yeah, so I'm not a lawyer, so that microphone, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not giving legal advice, okay? I'm not a lawyer. But to my knowledge, there is nothing in the code past this that says you have a right to appeal, which means the only right that would exist past now would be litigation, would be in the courts.
Cover I found in the revised codes.
Yeah, so, yeah, absolutely, so.
Cover about what happens when the trustees refuse.
Yeah, so, that would be a litigant type thing, so that would be for the courts to decide, for lawyers, way above my pay grade. So I usually stop at this, and this is really the first one where the trustees have not approved it. Usually landowners go talk to the trustees, and the trustees actually say, yeah, we don't care, we'll go ahead and do the petition. That makes life so much easier when the townships are the ones that actually do the petition, because then we know they're in favor because they're the ones that filed it.
So why is that? This is the first one.
I don't know, they did not want to, they chose not to want to get rid of the right-of-way, so.
But no written thoughts?
No, see, and that's
reasons,
just,
or-
and that's kind of the way it is
Something
the trustees would have to give something in the affirmative. They are not required to give anything in the negative, so they would have to say, yes, we want it, but they don't have to say, no, I don't want it. That make sense? At least the way that's written. They have to approve it. They don't have to not approve it. So,
This is a question, maybe a comment. So if they did want to dispose of the property, then the survey would need to be done, right?
well, yeah, so a survey of some sort, yes.
Before the hearing, because we
Yeah.
did this before.
Right, so, and we are actually, so like, Sam Shelley and Alexa are doing the survey work in our office as far as all the transfer, all the property, which is why they're here today and that, all these vacations. There are times when we need an actual physical survey, a meets and bounds survey, a boundary survey, with the surveyor to go out, set pins. And then there are times when there just physically are not enough records out there to say definitively where your neighboring property line actually is today. The way survey, the way subdivisions used to be laid out is they would lay out in a block, so there may be 6 or 7 lots here, and there's a pin in a block corner and a pin in a block corner of the subdivision. And back in 1870, when this was set out, they may have measured that to be 212 feet wide. All right? Well, today, with more modern equipment, we go out there and we measure that and say, instead of 220 feet, it's 217 feet 6 inches. Well, what we've effectively done is you've got your fence, and 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 we're telling everybody, all right, your fences are all wrong. And we're not going to do that. We're not going to wreck the world for this. So what we do is we say this is a 16.5-foot alley in some of these, and this is one of those situations. This is the 16.5-foot alley. 8 foot 3 inches is going over here. 8 foot 3 inches is going over here. All right, and we're going to transfer that, to these respective parcels as a, what we call an adequate description, a description that just defines it as wherever your property line is, you get to go 8 foot 3 inches more, and wherever the church's property line is, they get to go 8 foot 3 inches more. If you want to know where that actually is, you're going to need to get a survey then. But why are we making you get a survey when you don't even have your lot surveyed? That just seems to be a waste of money to us. So we are actually just started reevaluating that maybe 2-3 months ago, whether or not we have to do this. And so I'm kind of glad we chose not to have a survey done, because there would have been a lot of expense incurred and possibly for nothing. But does that make sense, is why sometimes we do need that, if we have to know where that is specifically. But in this case, you're just, we're abandoning it, and you're gonna get half, they're gonna get half. If you really wanna know exactly where it is, then you can pay for the survey.
So, great explanation. So in the future, when we have a hearing, you will let us know if they need a survey or not before the hearing?
Yeah, so we always do this, so
We know what we're
Barb,
making. Yeah, that's
after
what I
Barb
thought.
gets it, she sends it out to our office, and we reviewed it, and the 4 of us reviewed it together and said,
That
yeah,
makes
this is a good, we know where this is good enough to put it on a map.
Okay. So it's not, you have to have a survey, you may or may not, you'll tell us, but to make a decision, so we know what we're actually vacating, we have to have some description.
So, yeah, absolutely, so, and we do, which we do.
Yeah,
Yeah, which we
that's
do,
all.
yep.
Just clarifying
The most
for all of
basic
us.
of a description in this case, but there is a description, yes.
Perfect,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep. So, with that, that's kind of my little song and dance about the process. I'm here to answer questions that, I am not technically part of the hearing is for the commissioners to hear. I just have done this for a lot of years, and so they ask that I come up and kind of give an explanation on each one individual, and see what questions people may have that I may be able to answer, so, but I'm here as well, so if there are questions, so, all right? So like for today, it is just the hearing about testimony. I'm in favor of it, I'm not in favor of it, and that's kind of the extent of what this hearing's for, so, all right? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, who would like to go first?
Is it,
What's that?
it says it just me, or? Yeah?
Yeah, so far, yep.
Do you guys care if I sit since I have papers? Are you okay with that?
Yep. State your name.
This is America.
America.
You said you want to say it.
Sorry about my back to some of you. So I'll start off by just giving a little synopsis of what.
Diane, would you just state your name for the
Oh,
record?
yeah. My name is J. Diane West, a resident of Pleasant Township in Seneca County. I am speaking today, and thank you, the trustees, Paradiso, Bostecker, Frankert. Commissioners, I'm sorry. Sorry, commissioners, for allowing us to speak today. I'm talking to you about vacating an abandoned alley adjacent to the property that my husband and I, Anthony, or otherwise known as Tony West, reside and own in Fort Seneca. A little history on that. That home was acquired by Glenna May and George Frederick Sr. West. We know that that occurred prior to 1961. Uncertain, and when you go online, it doesn't take you back beyond the 3. I'm sure you have a way of digging further, but we know that in July of 1961, Tony was born, and that's the home he was born into. So obviously, the family, parents had owned that home prior to that. In August of 91, Glenna May, the mother, transferred that property to Anthony and George Frederick Jr., his brother. So in 1991, Anthony became owner of the home. Upon the death of his brother in February of 22, that home was then placed into the names of myself, J. Diane West, and Anthony West as property owners. So clearly, Anthony has had a vested interest since 1991 or thereabouts, when it was the deeds was paperwork was filed. He was born and raised in Fort Seneca, and Anthony, I will speak on his behalf. He can certainly correct me, but we wrote this letter together. There was known that that alley did exist between that property and adjacent is the church, what was at that time the parsonage or a home for the church was there. The church has since hazed that parsonage in the past couple years and has turned that into a stone parking lot with direct access into that parking lot from 53, which goes through between the two abutting properties, as I know you guys have seen it, but kind of laying it out, to a back alley that is still used, okay? So he can remember that being there, but being abandoned. Always mowed it, always been grass, never was a road, never used for access or through the alley. So my question here is, we're coming forth to ask for the alley to be vacated based on, and as Mark stated, there are several ways a citizen can come forward to petition. Would be getting 12 signed freeholders' signatures that reside in the vicinity of the area affected, and that needs to be filed with the commissioners. Now, I had signatures when I filed and turned in the paperwork. I can provide you, there was a total of 24 signatures involving 19 residencies. So clearly exceeding, and I have these if you would like me to submit these additional signatures. So that exceeds the requirements of 12. The other way citizens can vacate or ask for a vacation is what's called abandonment. And according to the guidelines and to law, and this was 1964, November 3rd, what is an abandonment? Mark, you probably have stated that, but it clearly means that an alley has been abandoned if it has not been used for 21 years. Okay, so remember I gave some key dates of before 61, the family owned it, Tony being owner in 91. So we've exceeded those 21 years of a road not being used. I also want to state that in this law, and I'll go upon 2019 House Bill 62, where that changed, but a township shall lose all rights in any public road, highway, street, or alley which has been abandoned and not used for a period of 21 years. So it is actually written clear back in the 60s of what abandonment, that keyword over and over is 21 years, okay? So I bring to you that we have filed the petitions, the paperwork, the plats, the whole thing. So we have certainly provided documentation, and I believe we've fulfilled the requirements, I've not heard otherwise, of showing our deeds and things like that to close that. So some of the questions that we have would be, and no one's here from the township trustees, but I would ask them, how many times in the year 2025 have they drove down that alley? How many times have they drove down that alley before 2025? It is my understanding that there is a thing called, let me think of what the term, forgive me, auto registration distribution funds from the state. And that is funding, to the best of what I've read and understand, and correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, this is your world, is to allocate funds from the state for road maintenance, road repairs, upkeep, things like that. The roads have to be utilized. My understanding is they have to be at least driven down one time a year to be considered that road and active to get funding from the state. Am I correct?
Yeah, oh yeah, I'm not sure about the one time a year, but there are roads that have, to get tax dollars, the road has to be established as a road.
Yes.
Yes.
So I'm asking, obviously without getting any funding, and I'm making the assumption that they're not here to ask. But obviously if they're not getting funding, then that road is obviously, that alley, not considered a road, right? So the next thing I want to talk about is, have they done any in 2025? Any mowing of the alley, any plowing of snow? I think yesterday would attest for those that drove by, it has not been plowed. Have they drove down that alley, any bus routes down that alley, or has it even been used as an alley or a mode of going through? Again, the assumption I'm gonna make is no, but they're not here to ask, okay? So, I would ask that of last year, this year, and even previous years clear up until the early 60s that Tony can recall. Has any of that happened? No, not to our knowledge. So someone can ask, well, what about the safety of if that would be abandoned alley would be vacated? What does that mean for the safety of the people living in Fort Seneca as a proposed alley? So I did contact Chief Fire Department of Old Fort, Craig Malott, on 1/27 of 26. My husband and I spoke with Craig Malott and posed the question of, what does this mean in the eyes of EMS, fire, any concerns if that alley would be vacated, considering it's abandoned? And as Chief Malott stated, that is, he kind of chuckled and said, we would never go down that, there's no, it's grass. He has no vested interest in that being opposed to be closed as far as being a fire chief. As he stated, if there would be some type of an emergent in Fort Seneca, certainly tearing down the parsonage, making that into a stoned parking lot, would be where they would stage anything that they would need to stage with their trucks, and that gets them access off of 53 to the back alley and around either way to get through the little town. So there was no concerns as far as EMS, fire, safety, anything like that. And also he stated the ballpark behind is also an open area, life flight or anything like that would ever need to be landed, that gives them access for that. So those are kind of a little history of that. And what I hear is, and I'm going to kind of propose, and Mark, I heard you say that typically the trustees have not vacated in history that we can recollect in recent years.
They have always vacated.
Oh, they have vacated, but it was never always under their total control, correct? They could, but citizens could also go before the commissioners, if I'm not mistaken, and ask and petition for such areas to be vacated. Am I correct in that?
With the township approval, yes. Yeah, 100% you were right. The landowners have the right to go through that process with the 12 freeholders and request it, yes.
But I'm gonna ask you guys, have you ever closed a township road prior to 2019 on your own, without the trustees?
I'm not sure. We have, I don't think.
That's where I-
Before my time.
So, I know Adams Township, we, the township, did one there at the 190. Remember that, Mark? So-
Yeah,
Because that went nowhere at,
I don't recall a alley vacation in the history of me being here and doing this that the trustees did
So
not
I think your
either
question
request it
that-
or sign off on it.
So is your question, in the old days, if the township trustees didn't want to do it, the commissioners could override them, and then the law
Correct,
changed?
prior to
at some point?
2019.
Yeah, so I don't know, I started August of 19, but since we've been here, we
When-
have, but we always ask the question of the township trustees, what's their position?
When I have read
So-
Ohio Revised
But maybe
Code,
prior, it
Yeah.
was like that.
when I read the Ohio Revised Code, the ways that roads can be vacated is, you're certainly right, trustees can bring it forth and start the process. Citizens, as I've discussed, can bring it forth and start the process and send the petition to the county commissioners. And also the county commissioners could also do that process, okay? They could
Back
vacate.
then, you can't.
Prior to 2019. And I want to make forth, because this is coming up, about the trustees having so much, I'll say, power or control over closing. In 2019, there was House Bill 62. There was one statement pertaining to the township trustees. There was a lot in that bill, but the things that's specific today regarding what we're talking about is that the trustees have the control whether to vacate township roads or alleys. It's with the trustees giving their approval. Now, I want to make note that in 2019, the reason that language was put into that House bill, as stated, this 2019 update was designed to give township trustees more direct control over the cleaning up of unused or abandoned alleys and paper streets that were never opened or are no longer used by the public. That is why that statement in 2019, what came about, was because they were finding nobody was dealing with vacated streets, non-used roads, and the trustees, it was through the county commissioners that pretty much led that. So they gave the township trustees the authority to work towards vacating those. So that was the purpose of that statement, okay? So, and that was approved on March 22nd, 2019. So with that being said, the question comes with, we have an alley that's abandoned. We can say clearly before 61 or 61 forward, not used. The only two people that truly, property owners that have true vested interest is the church and our property that abut to that. I have spoke with Herman Lucius, who's the deacon of the church, when we started this process, to ask the church what their thoughts were on this, and they've been supportive of that, okay? Of course, they had to take it to their committee. I don't know if anybody's here on behalf, and you are?
I'm Nate, I'm the pastor.
Okay, thank you, Nate. My understanding is there was no, concerns with us moving forward.
Correct, and I can speak to that when you're,
Okay.
when you're done.
Okay, certainly, to doing that, but we got their, interest in this when we started this process to talk with the church. So with that being said, the question is, well, what happens in Ohio if township trustees refuse to vacate an abandoned alley? You can bypass them by petitioning the Board of Commissioners under Ohio Revised Code 5553.042. A township loses its rights to any public road or alley that has been abandoned and not used for 21 years. So, with that being said, it states, an abutting landowner can file a petition with the county commissioners alleging that the alley has been abandoned at least 21 years. And then it also states that the county commissioners find that this alley is indeed abandoned for 21 years, the law states they shall order it vacated by resolution. Unlike some other vacation processes, this specific non-use statute is considered non-permissive regarding the township's rights. So, the appeal rights are this, and I can get into it. You, the commissioners, since they're refusing, we have the right to come before you. You have the right to review this and make a decision based on being vacated for 21 years. If the county commissioners also refuse the petition, you as an abutting owner, I have 30 days, or we, to appeal the decision to the Common Pleas Court. So my understanding is, again, that after the township trustees refuse to vacate, then the township shall lose all rights to any public road, highway, street, or alley which has been abandoned and not used for a period of 21 years after formal proceedings for vacation as provided in Ohio Revised Code 5553.04 to 5553.11 of the Revised Code, which is a lot of what Mark has stated, the steps that have to occur. So, that...
Probably won't get wrapped up. I think Nathan wants to talk a little bit there.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, well, I was just gonna say, so that's where we are at. Obviously, the trustees, I don't believe showed up yesterday. My husband and my sons were there, and while they were there, and you folks were, they were not. They have stated that they're not supportive of this, but haven't given any real reason why they're not supportive of this. Certainly looking at House Bill 62 and what the intent of that verbiage was, but there's also ways around that, that if they refuse, it's upon the commissioners with the petition.
So,
Yeah, so I guess just to, wow, so, good job. I think you know more about.
You hiring?
I think you know, yeah, for sure. I think you know more about vacations than I do. Excellent. And to your point, I think everything you said was spot on. The only difference between what I see as the 21-year rule and abandonment is there are two ways roadways were established. One of which through the subdivision process, which is where we are today, where the trustees actually own this ground. All right, so these alleys are not right-of-ways, they are ownership. These are alleys where the 16.5-foot piece of ground, if you look at our tax map right now, they're hollow. There's no ownership in them because they are owned by the trustees. They're not tax-paying. Same thing in the cities, as to where the actual road in a subdivision is owned by the entity. Out in the rural area, so if you go just a little bit further south of where you are, and like County Road 592 or 42 or the Township Road 150, I don't know, 155 up there, right, just north of you, landowners own to the center of the road. So you own to the center of the road up there, whereas you just own to the edge of that ownership, and the trustees have a right-of-way over top of it, where they build a road. The 21-year rule, at least in my understanding of it, not being a lawyer, is that those are the roads, the ones where you own to the center of the road already and they have the right-of-way over it. If they fail to use that for 21 years, those are the roads that automatically convert to the trustees. The commissioners can say, listen, you haven't used it for 21 years, you're getting rid of your right-of-way over it, we're giving that right-of-way back to the landowners. But you already own to the center of the road, you're not acquiring anything. In this situation, it'd be like the commissioners coming in and saying, you own this ground, we are taking something you physically own, not have a right over, but you own it. We're taking it away from you and giving it to your neighbors. That's the difference between these two sections of abandonment. While everything you said, spot on. My understanding of it is that is for a different type of roadway. It is not for an alley that was established under subdivisions. It would be for an alley where you already owned the center of the road. They had a right-of-way over it. We actually did this. We just did a bridge remember that bridge we did was because that exact same thing happened with the road. I think it was 130.
138.
138.
Yep.
Exact same. There used to be a road, long time ago, long before us. People drove up and down it. There was bridges on it over a railroad track. The trustees quit using it. They closed it down because they didn't want to take care of it. Just not enough people drove on it. They closed it. 21 years later, it was determined abandoned, vacated through abandonment. This particular one, yes, they have not used it. I doubt somebody in the township or for any public purpose has used this alley since it was platted. 61, I bet longer than that. It could have been, a long time, there could have been stone put down there, but a lot of these, they're paper streets. But they're paper streets that the trustees own. They aren't paper streets where there's just a right-of-way over them where you can come in and say, listen, you had a right-of-way, we're taking your easement away from you. We're not taking your physical ground away from you. There's two different things there. So that's my understanding, that's what we've always understood it, that's my understanding of the prosecutor's office, is that's the way that works, is that because roads could be established two different ways, the abandonment process or vacation process has to be established two different ways.
Okay,
So-
that's not very clear, obviously, in the
Yeah.
revised code.
Agreed.
Because
Yeah.
it clearly states.
It's an alley here, it says alley over here, and it says alley over here, and you're right, if there is a road, and there used to be a road that, in the 1800s, to get to an old mill, which is where most of our roads were built, is to get to mills, to get to good ground to farm, they were established, and then they weren't used, and you wanted your ground back, and you wanted to get rid of this easement across it, then the commissioners, after 21 years, I think the law says shall.
It does.
So you can't side with the trustees to say that, and they say they don't want it, doesn't matter, they haven't used it, they just had a right-of-way over it, you have a requirement to use a right-of-way. But if you could own a piece of ground and just own it forever, there's no requirement for you to use what you own. Just if I have an easement over you, I'm required to use it. So,
It does state.
yeah, I can't, that's as much as I
It's
know.
illegal, right.
So yeah, we're getting
An
really,
alley's a little different rule.
Yeah.
Because I have an alley beside me that has been drove on and by the public in over 60 years. It's never been vacated, and the guy built a building on it, and it was allowed to do it, and they're still driving around the building. If you want to
Yeah.
legally, I can go in his driveway and drive right down it, because it's never been vacated.
Yeah.
And everybody wanted to argue about it, and I go back to the township house.
Yeah.
They go, it's never been
Yeah.
vacated, so technically, he built a building on
Yeah.
it, nothing was, it's an alley.
and in this situation, there's, the church has a parking lot
How's
on
the
half of
taxes
it,
working
so.
on that?
I don't think anybody cares that people do that. Like I said, there's no, if it ever came to something where the trustees said, hey, we're building a 16.5-foot alley through here, they're gonna dig up
If
your,
there's no care, then why ain't they here and why ain't they stating there?
yeah, that's not, nothing for me.
Just
That's not
to me,
mine.
no.
I'm just saying, why ain't they here? It's their interest, right? It's their land.
Yeah,
Why ain't they in there
and I
fighting
think they just
for
know
this?
that if they don't say yes, then they don't have to defend why they don't want to do it.
That's
They
fine, there's
just don't
other
have to,
ways
so.
of the
Yeah,
commissioners and,
I would think that the courts are the next,
the next step is county commissioners.
Yeah,
According to this.
I don't think so, but that's not my.
That's what I'm reading after
Yeah.
2019, Ohio Assembly,
Yeah.
that if they refuse, it goes before the commissioners, is what I'm reading.
Well, I think,
Specifically,
I think Mark kind of clarified a little bit that was an education for us, is if they actually own it. Like he was explaining the difference on when you own the center road, a township
Yeah.
road, county road, whatever, but since they physically own this,
Yeah.
might be a game changer, so.
well, they own any alley in Fort Seneca, and if you actually look at the plat of the town, many, many, many of those alleys from 1800s have been vacated and closed. As a matter of fact, if you would look east of where this crosses over 53, between Gwen Stallard and the home owned by Coble that's a rental, that alley went back there to another alley that ran north and south. Both of those were closed. The one specific that would have run across 53 adjacent to ours was closed in 1963 per their deeds, of which I submitted to you. So many, many alleys in Fort Seneca, and an alley's what? 11,
16 and a half.
an alley 16 and a half? Okay.
The right of way. I mean, if they were to build an alley, they wouldn't build it that wide.
Correct.
But the stone wouldn't have been, but the ownership is 16 and a half feet wide.
And you're right, egress for a township trustee, as written again in the revised code, and you guys can certainly look it up, is if it gets vacated due to abandonment, if there are existing lines, gas, sewer, whatever, the egress follows a lifetime because of that. To my knowledge, I certainly couldn't find where anything is underneath that at all. In the very back of, to your point, if you were to drive off of 53 heading west on that alley, there's a telephone pole right in the middle of the alley. So one could say, how would you get through to begin with? There's a pole. You can't get through.
So I'll make a comment, just to show, appreciate you coming in. And I'm totally open-minded to make a yes or no vote. That said, as commissioners, we have to gather all the information to make a decision. And so for me to be in a position to make a decision, and not necessarily in this order, but we have to get a prosecutor's opinion. The prosecutor is the legal officer of the county, and we ask for their opinion all the time. I haven't formally, so we need to get that, number one. Number two,
Actually, she did sign it, yeah, basically, kind of what Mark was stating.
she sent it, but before your comments,
Right.
but basically her recommendation was no, okay? And then the other thing, so, you know, that's what the prosecutor's saying. And then the second thing is, I don't know why the trustees haven't, but, you know, I would like the trustees to say yes or no, or have a meeting, or, like, we don't know what their position is. So, I'm just throwing that out, as far as having enough information. You make sense, Mark makes sense.
There is case law after
yeah.
2019. I didn't go into the weeds, sorry, Mark, I could do that my next
Yeah, that'd be
assignment.
sweet.
Because there is
Love to
case,
read your research, so
there
yeah.
are, I didn't print them off, but it is clearly about, after 2019, what happens when township trustees refuse to vacate a township road, and I put alley, it pulls up case law. And there's a case over in Stark County. There was a case down by, I think, Columbus. So there is case law where it got overturned, and abandonment of 21 years is clearly the concern. But there is case law based upon that 2019 where I read to you.
Yeah. And I would like a better opinion from the
So,
prosecutor.
Mark, if, just your experience, if we would table this, do we have to go through the whole process again?
No, and so my experience is that and many times in the past, you, as not necessarily three of you, but you as a board of commissioners have not decided on the day of the hearing, and you're not required to.
I'm sure.
So tabling this until you find out more information, you can table it and then bring it back off the table next Tuesday, 2 Tuesdays, 3 Tuesdays, 4 Tuesdays, whenever you choose to bring it off the table after you get the information that you were looking for, and vote on it then. So if it is something that you are looking to say, we don't want to have to restart the process over again, where we redo all this and redo, you know, we vote no today, and knowing that we do another set of freeholders, we do another petition, we do another viewing, we do another hearing, then just table it today, and then get the information you need and some later date, and you can just table it until you get your information. You have to table it until next Tuesday, or until 2 Tuesdays from now, table it until you get the information that you were seeking.
So maybe that gives you guys, have you been to the township, talked to, at one of their open meetings?
I have not, because I did what the
Right,
revised
yeah,
code
exactly.
clearly
That's
says
typically-
is, what I need to do is gather all this and present it to the commissioners. So I was just following the guidelines that were written.
Yeah, I mean, historically, you know, we as a county have stuck with our trustees and decisions of things that they want to do. And, you know, as far as all working together as government, saying the trustees don't want it, we don't want it. The trustees want it, we want it. You know, just because they are the unit of government that is responsible for it, and Nobody likes Big Brother any bigger than Big Brother has to be. You know, so if it is possible, a resolution from the trustees saying, yeah, we don't care about this 16.5 foot, done. This is done. And everybody gets what they want, and the commissioners get to side for their constituents and give them something that they want, and the trustees decided that they weren't gonna use it, so they're in favor of it, and you get additional ground, and the church gets additional ground, and everybody wins. If the trustees say that they aren't interested in it, then nobody gets any of that unless it goes to court, and I don't think anybody wants something to go to court.
I'd be curious to know the appeals process, if you're, you know, I'm sure you're gonna ask that question, is what does this look like?
Yeah, I think their decision is just, can we or can't we?
Yeah.
They can't ask what your appeal process is, I think that's something you would have to ask.
Well, I would think
a lawyer,
somewhere,
so.
there's gotta be something set of what does
For how
a
you
citizen.
would appeal.
How- yeah, you
Yeah,
would.
what does.
So you would have to.
You would
check
have to
that.
find that out.
Right.
Through the.
Because
which
again-
sound like you talked about, there was a 30-day through the common police, or you said.
For the commissioners to respond, and then it gets filed with the common pleas, if I,
Right.
yes. But I hear, again, I'm just going by what I'm reading in the revised code, and clearly the House Bill 62, which gave them that sentence, that's where the sticking point is them having clear, prior to that, you guys could have basically made the decision even without them, okay, according to the revised code.
Probably wouldn't have, even in 2018.
But you
without-
could have.
Yeah.
But you could have by law. They
Agreed.
could have.
Agreed.
They could have by law.
Even though they're owners of it though, Mark, that's what kind of.
No, I'm saying prior to 19, with the way of doing it, if it were right of way, they still could, you could.
Right of way, but
This
still the
way,
ownership
I think
is-
there's no way you just take ground away
Right.
from somebody that owns
Owns
it.
it, right.
If somebody's gonna take ground away from you personally, would you be at the court system?
Yeah, I
trying to
would
figure
fight
out
someone
what-
trying to take it away from me, so,
Where are they at?
yeah.
Why do they want it so bad? Why are they fighting it so bad?
Well, like
Again,
said,
I don't think
that's what
they're fighting it, they're just not in favor of it,
Yeah,
so.
I mean, I guess the step,
This has been going on since '61, guys.
Hmm.
I grew up in the house, my mom's tried to close this numerous times.
Hmm.
So there is a fight.
Did you guys find anything
is there
in the past?
been
You know, is there
any-
something personal? I don't understand.
I wanna know what's going
We
on.
came to the hearing, we're having a hearing.
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
And you're asking me.
I know you don't
speaking
know.
for me, okay, to make a vote, okay? And a logical question as a commissioner with 15 townships.
Guys,
Sure.
we got
is
it.
to say, what is the position of the township? So, if the township, if I'm allowed to do it, and the township says no, then that'll be my decision. I don't know what the position of the township is, and I don't know, based on what the prosecutor's telling me as of today, if we can even vote on this. That's my
Sure.
position.
Sure,
okay?
I understand.
So, I would ask for a continuance,
Sure.
and then gather some more information, and then if we can vote, then we'll vote, and I'll cast my vote. But
Yeah.
I'm not gonna vote on something and then look like a jerk because I voted on something I didn't know what I was voting for.
Fair enough.
And I'm not like
Yeah.
that.
No,
So
I get
That's
it.
my position, so that's all we're saying.
Fair enough.
And back to your point, Anthony, it's been 61. How many township trustees and how many commissioners have there been since 1961?
Oh, I get that.
Okay,
I
so,
understand that.
you know, I mean,
And
here
you
we
just,
are.
and you just said, this is the first time that they've said no.
In your,
That in your time.
I don't know what they said. I mean, I haven't been to a meeting or,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, they didn't say yes.
it
Yes.
takes two of the three to say no, and then it's a no, right? I mean, I don't know how.
Well, that's what, I mean, as far as any time that this has been proposed before, I mean, you guys.
If they
all
say
take
no-
Your records as far as.
Yeah, I asked, we did nothing about this particular one.
If they say no, we can
There's just-
still
we don't have a
vote, then we'll
record.
have that conversation.
Sure.
I-
well, there's
Me, it's different.
workarounds, and we'll
Yeah.
just go through that process. There are workarounds, and according to this,
And the courts always exist, so
And
that's,
you
you know,
can, you go through and if you
Yeah.
end up in court, then that's where you end up.
Right.
You know, but,
Oh, and actually, I come back to a little bit, the one, most recent one
I
we
don't
did
know.
was out to Van Meter, and that's where the trustees actually did a resolution on that.
Yes.
For that, so
Yes.
there's kind of a, case now similar to
yeah.
this, so.
Yeah, as a rule, the trustees want it, the commissioners say yes. If the trustees don't want it, the commissioners say no. just to honor their authority in their township.
Right, and I get it.
So,
I will, other than looking 2019 and beyond, if they refuse, there are paths to be taken. And what I've read is the county commissioners are part of that path and the common pleas after that. So we'll let you, yeah. And like I said, there's
Yeah, we'll get
case
the
law.
prosecutor to tell us. Is that good?
We think, yeah.
Yeah.
We-
Nathan, do you have anything you wanna?
I'll just simply say, my name's Nathan Lucius, and I am a resident of Hopewell Township. I am currently the interim pastor at Fort Seneca Church. I was pastor from April of 2017 till October of 2022. Stepped down. My background for the last 30-some years is in construction, so I became the head trustee of the church from 22 until our pastor stepped down in November, and I was brought back up. So, so that being said, Herm is my uncle. We're in support of it being, we're in support of it being turned over, obviously, you know, vacated, however you word it, being it's private property. That's something I learned today, listening to Mark speak. So we're in favor of that, obviously, you know, we're the south property, the west or the north property, so we're the two properties affected by it. I will say, as Diane said, there's a utility pole on one end that I don't know that you could make a turn out of that if you wanted to. And at some point, the house that used to be there was a rental property, and there's a big steel trash bin that someone put there that they burnt in, that's still, I think, in the middle of that alley.
Been there since I've been a kid.
I got
That would take quite a machine to move that thing.
Been there since I've been
Yeah,
a
I gotta
kid.
take a piece.
Yeah, that's a unit.
He said it's been there since he was a kid.
Really?
Yeah, it's been there a long time.
My, Herm has been at the church since '76. His wife's been there since she was born, I won't say when, but prior to '76. And they would certainly know if it's ever been used, and they've never seen it actually used as an alley. So, I guess
Good.
that's probably all I need to add.
I've seen your name on the sign, so it's
Oh.
nice to put a face to the sign. Yeah, Pastor.
Thank you.
It's good. Hey, good job.
Very good.
You don't have to go through all this again, so I think we.
Thank you for that.
Right, right,
It's, in my house, it's been, what do you guys want to do this evening, watch a movie? No, let's read case law and look at Ohio Revised Code.
For a girl, huh?
Do we need a motion?
Yes.
Okay, so I would like to make a motion that we table this decision until, you want to pick a date? We get some.
I would think it would
additional
it would
information.
just, until we have additional information to make an educated
And then
decision.
when we set the date, we have to give a little notice to,
I would think, just in your brief, your agenda,
Yeah, I think that's a,
yeah.
so we could.
You would not need to
Put it on the
review.
agenda to vote. So I'd like to make a motion, we table this decision till a future date, and at which time we will advertise it in our commissioner agenda.
I'll second that.
Roll call.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. for
Don't you
coming.
leave yet.
Okay.
So, we've got
You're
another
up.
quick appointment, so, yeah,
Alright.
so, we have Jay Pence, Old Port resident, school board, here, we have a few questions or comments and stuff we'd like to make.
Jay Pence, I live in Main Street, Old Fort Ohio, been there 30 years. Before I lived down the street with my parents, right across from the store, so I've been there 53 years. I'm gonna bounce back and forth, I'm not here representing the school, I am a school board member though. But we had a school bus get hit by another semi-truck Friday morning on County Road 40 in 73. They put a stop sign in 2 years ago.
few years
To try
ago, yeah.
and stop the yield, had been there forever.
Yeah.
It's not working. I've been talking to Mr. Franker for over 2 years, and I know we have a lot of truck traffic I give kudos to Arm & Hammer for sporting the area. I'm not complaining about MGQ coming through, but we have to do something different as a town and a county and a township for the safety of the school. The lady got cited Friday because she tried to get out of the truck driver's way. Instead of sitting there, she put it in reverse because he kept coming at her. And by the time she got it in reverse, she was left to center with the front of the bus, and he proceeded not to stop and drove right into her and drug the trailer against the bus. There was no kids in the bus. We was on our return trip from Bettsville, but we run 5 or 6 buses daily over there, twice a day, sometimes more. They're breaking the road down. They're running through people's properties. They're dragging signs down. You've got some to replace already that they've already taken the sticks down from a month ago because they're cutting the corner. And everybody can say it's the truck traffic, but you can look at the scenario a little different. I've been in charge of trucking for a few years. They're hot loading those trailers from Fall Story to Old Fort, so they're driving like it. And when our mentality is as humans, we have to go, go, go. They're driving like it in the town. I don't have an answer for it, but I used to be, I was always understanding the truck route was kind of preferred to go down 12, to hit 201, to hit Bettsville, to hit Fall Story. Well, we're driving through Old Fort, we've got 8 to 10 foot pushback on 53, on 40. 73 and 40 is getting shoved. We're all backing up, trying to get out of their way. People's gonna stop backing up probably, and it's gonna get real congested real quick. I'm not asking to stop at all. Something's gotta be addressed.
So
For the safety of the buses, for the safety of the kids, for the safety of people on the roads.
So is it at the intersection where all the problems are happening?
The intersection's bad at the three-way stop,
And
at the
is it-
fire station number 2, and the intersection by the church at 40 and 73 is the worst, because they just cut that corner.
So say it again.
When they leave to go out of town, they head north, go out of Old Fort,
Yep.
hang a left to go west.
Yep.
They're trying to make that turn, and the buses are coming in, cars and trucks are coming up to the stop sign, and if you stop, you can't make that turn.
Okay.
She tried to get out of the way to be nice to him, and by the time she got stopped, she was at the deck of that house at the corner, and he still caught her because he didn't stop.
So the bus was on 40.
Bus was on 40, headed back to Old Fort empty.
Okay.
That's the second bus. One got hit 6 weeks ago and never stopped. It hit the mirror, ricocheted the mirror back against the bus, the breakaway mirrors, nothing happened. The Spader truck kept on driving. I've called Spaders for over 5 years. They don't return their safety calls, so I quit calling. I mean, I could stop the gentleman, 2 of the owners, I could stop them at church, but I don't think that'd be nice at the narthex in Fremont. So I didn't address it that way. Like I said, I've talked to Bill numerous times about it. But, you know, we had a little safety, big powwow in Old Fort back in January, the safety in Bettsville on 31. Pretty safe, but how much longer are we gonna keep driving through Old Fort and let these trucks keep hitting school buses? She got cited trying to be nice. They're probably not gonna back up anymore to be nice. They're gonna sit like they should as a CDL holder, and you stand your ground and let them hit them. That's what should have happened. She was trying to get out of his way because they just barrel through there. And I stopped and asked the guy, I said, can I ask you a question as a driver? I got a CDL. Why don't you guys take 201? Well, what's 201? Now, come on, you're from Clyde. He told me he's from Clyde. You come to the 4-way stop, you hang a right, you head north, you drive 2.5 miles, you hang a left. There's Route 12. It's a straight shot across 201. There's a traffic light for you. It's 3 minutes difference if you leave our bridge in Old Fort and go that way than it is to go that way, because I've drove truck enough to go to the elevator where I live, where I work. 3 minutes isn't gonna make or break us. I know you can't enforce it every day, but I don't know what the process is to put signs up. I don't know if the sheriffs did not have time to stand out there and write tickets. They don't have time to enforce it. You guys don't have time to enforce it. But something has to be done, either the truck driver owners, which is Spaders, doing most of it.
Who they haul them for?
Spaders, dog, arm, and hammer,
That's right.
nonstop. And I know.
I used to work there for 15 years,
and Dave,
and I don't even know you.
And Dave, our
So
safety.
you know me.
I know who you are. Dave, the plant
You know who I
manager,
am?
spoke
Yeah, I
up
know.
at 31 at the meeting about the closure at 31, about safety, safety, safety.
I brought this up years ago.
Okay, safety, safety, safety. Well, we started the safety on 31. We need to do something in Old Fort, the safety of that. That bus was empty that day with one driver. If she'd have hung onto the wheel, could have broke a shoulder, snapped a wrist, hurt a forearm. something, but didn't happen. Not a lot of damage, there's still enough damage to the front of the bus, it was fixable. It wasn't bad, it wasn't like he was flying through the gears, but those trucks are automatics, it doesn't take much to lay into them, and you can skedaddle around that corner, and that's what they do. A lot of us are getting tired of backing up, trying to get out of their way, pulling in people's yards, they're dragging signs down the road. And some people can blame it on the truck bound coming in, but those guys come in, yeah, they don't know the area, but they don't drive like that. Spaders are driving like this because they're dropping and hooking. And they're gotta get that next hook, we gotta go. It's an addiction to get that next load, we gotta roll. That guy's been on the road since 2 o'clock this morning and already hit a bus around 7:46 that morning. He'd been on the road that long already. That was just his start of his day shift. Our superintendent would like to have been here today, but today's his second day on the job in the building. So I kinda got sent to say that he'd like to follow through with this with you guys. He'd like to keep in touch and keep this started, but he says something has to be addressed. It's been going on since the 82, when they built it.
Yep.
Mike Mulliette used to be the one that used to do it, you had to get out of his way. And you knew when Mike was coming to get out of the way, that road's not wide enough. And they're gonna take the curve out because the buses are starting to get off the side of the road. Kudos to your county guy who's been plowing, but he's got that road shoved back far enough to get around that curve because it was 4 foot deep with the wind. But they're starting to get off the side of the road in the curve, and that's where I think that's where the other bus got hit a few weeks ago. They're not getting over.
I
And
was
it's-
told they were Spader's supposed to take 12, go across.
Some of them do it. Afternoon shift on Friday afternoon, I was going to Fremont to get a pizza.
That
There
is
goes
their
the
route
afternoon
they're
guy.
supposed to take.
That's the route they're supposed to take, I was told.
Okay.
But
And
they're
that's what
not.
as we know, because we've had, with township, roads, but at the end of the day, you can't. I mean,
Yeah, we can't make trucks go somewhere.
But I think that intersection,
But
like
they're
he's
gonna
talking
wreck
about,
the
I mean,
bridges. They come down 15 too.
yeah, that he's talking about, because you not only have MGQ, Spader, but you also got a lot of guys hauling grain to pull it and stuff there too. So that is kind of a tight intersection. So I mean, if there's, that stretch in there, like he said, you got the curve kind of by Watson's and stuff in there that look
Yeah.
and see if there's something.
Yeah, what
improved there.
survey, I guess, I honestly thought that putting the signs up, helped. I haven't heard it, this is Bill called me yesterday and said, hey, take a look, so I looked up online,
If you
maybe
wanna
I just
stop
don't see
saving
that.
there, you have
Oh,
to
I believe
stop.
you.
You
I
have
don't
to
need to
stand
see
behind
it.
the alley.
I
You've
believe
seen, the damage,
So-
what's gonna cost to
Yeah.
fix it. When Doc Shade lived in the corner, he had 4x4s with reflectors nailed to them, and they kept them out for all those years. Well, the new people took them out, they didn't want to mow around them. So now they're in their yard. They're bouncing the tractors off the, and even if we try and get out of the way, it doesn't matter, they're still cutting through the
We had
yard.
boulders sitting out in the driveway
Yeah,
for the corners.
Jeez.
And they would actually tip
Yeah.
the trailers over in the parking lot because they turned that corner. And there's nothing out there.
no.
Yeah,
So, I don't know where they're
we'll
getting
take a
the
look at it.
CDLs.
So now, I'll see what we've got, I guess, I didn't know one bus was headed, and certainly didn't know two.
The first bus was
The first
just
I know
pushing
they
it
got
out,
it, that's
but
all.
Friday the second bus got hit, and I'm like,
Yeah.
my wife drives bus, so she says before, when you're I'm a CDL holder too, you don't back up for the safety. Even I don't care if you put your four-ways on, you don't back up at a stop sign. You sit there and wait. And that other lady was trying to be nice, been driving over 20 years. She goes, I was just trying to be nice, and I got cited for it. Not real happy. And that guy really didn't phase him any.
Limitations on the end of the
No,
bridges.
no.
So I know you don't have an answer for it, but I'm just asking for something to be addressed, and to be addressed soon, just to get something started to try and deter some of it. And we've all been kind, your county guys behind every morning. You talked about your 2 AM start time and your 4 AM start time. Your county guy's done a heck of a job this winter, and you ought to thank him for it, because no matter what time he starts, he's behind every night, because there's a cat litter truck by my house every 48 minutes for the last so many years. Sometimes it's 2 cat litter trucks every 48 minutes running tandem. So no matter what time he starts in the morning, he's plowing ice and crap, and he's done a heck of a job this winter trying to keep that road clean. They've got the neighbor's road bouncing off. It's not just the Spader trucks, but even when those trucks do take the school way, at least they slow down and take the curve and go out to 53. And 53's intersection's wider there. It's not so bad getting in and out of there. Not all of them do it. So I just trying to get something started that somebody's aware. I know you're aware of it, but before something else happens again, There could be kids on it the next time. Nobody wants to make the phone call, even if they're not hurt, to call and tell somebody's parents, we gotta come get your kids and transfer them another bus because this happened again. We're aware of it, but it's still going on. So,
It's only gonna get worse. There's 2 more lines going in.
yeah, they're gonna keep it.
Okay, I think a matter of
So-
time, are you good? Yep, I think keep moving.
Yeah, I appreciate
So,
it.
thank you.
Yes, thank you, Mark, you'll kind of look into
And
that.
do make sure you, I'm not exaggerating,
Oh, I
thank
will
your
tell-
driver,
Yeah, I will.
because he's done a heck of a job this winter.
Rarely do we get to hear the good, so thank you.
I know. He's done a
Rarely
heck-
do we get to hear the good,
He's
so I will,
he's done a heck of a job.
100% make sure that message gets passed along, so thank you so much.
Thanks, fellas.
Thank you. Yep.
Very good.
Your grandpa?
Yes, sure was. Huh? I didn't stand up and give you the finger today, but I could
You're
have.
very welcome, it's a pleasure. I remember him. Well, you can be a lawyer.
Oh, yeah.
Come up and say,
Yep. He was a good guy.
he was a heck of a guy.
I'm glad I listened to him. I didn't think he knew what he was talking about, but he knew what he was talking about, so.
Okay, I think in a matter of time, if Tony, if you're good, we're gonna bypass commissioner reports and go with county administrator report.
I don't have a whole lot. I just wanted to give you, expense and revenue numbers for January, since I have those available kind of early in the month. But, so for revenue collected in, January, we collected just over $1.8 million. And we expended $3.2 million. Again, in January, this is always the issue that we're expending money, but it's money that was spent in '25, and a lot of that money is still available to pay these bills in '26. So,
Encumbered, but not.
yes, yeah, encumbered in '25, but not spent until '26, so, that's why that's that lopsided, numbering there, so, but we are, I don't have any issues with it at this point. I will keep an eye on it, as I always do, and, so that's basically my report.
Very good. All right, old business.
How many?
Okay, new business, supplemental appropriations.
Just a couple. Capital project fund for the jail in the amount of $29,790. This is to do some duct sealing out at the jail. They're doing some cleaning of the ductwork, and they're trying to get some sealing done because there's some fiberglass within the ductwork that is delaminating, and we'll seal it up, and it'll help with the cleanings the next time. Then the other I have is county, another for county capital project fund for the youth center in the amount of $47,070. This is for a change order with the heating out there. We are changing the duct size out there at the youth center to help push along a little bit more heat into those pods for the youth out there. And then the last one I have is the Community-Based Correction Facility Fund capital improvements for $294,902. This is for Oriana House. This is, they've been doing some upgrades out there. In the past, we've done parking lot flooring cameras, fire alarms, rooftop units for heating and cooling. So this is just continuing that process. I'm sure that they will be asking to use that money this year, and that's money that comes from the state.
Make the motion to approve the supplemental appropriations.
So moved.
Your second?
I guess
Roll call.
that was a backward second.
Reverse me around.
That's all right.
I was concentrating, I was reading.
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Bustacker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
And then I have just two resolutions. First is authorizing the Seneca County Board of Commissioners to enter into an agreement contract with Securitas Technology Corporation for Harding and PLCIO system upgrades on behalf of the Seneca County Youth Center. This is, so I'll give you a little bit. This is for, I believe it's intercoms and, and cameras out there at the youth center. And this is a grant.
Yeah.
But the commissioners have a 40% interest in this grant, but most of the money will be coming from a grant.
That Judge Meyer,
Yep.
yeah.
That's what I thought. Look, I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Roll call?
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Last resolution is a resolution
Can I have one-
reappointing.
can I have one
Sure.
question? So if this is part of the money, will there be, what if there's money left from the grant, or does this wipe it out?
This will wipe it out.
So this is what we're doing with grant money?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sorry.
And like I said, I think it's a 60-40 split.
Yeah,
So
so
we
we're
put
paying
40,000, we
40.
put 40% in and they,
And then it's over.
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
And it's an ongoing grant, so it's one of those where, this is, I think, might be like part 4 of this grant. So
Okay.
every few years, they can, go back to the state and ask for additional money for upgrades out there.
Okay, thank you.
Resolution reappointing Randy Weiser to the Sandusky Seneca County City of Tiffin Port Authority Board of Directors with a term expiring March 1st of 2030. It will be effective for our commissioners on March 1st of 2026.
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Okay, roll call?
Commissioner Paradiso?
Yes.
Commissioner Bustecker?
Yes.
Commissioner Franker?
Yes.
Good guy.
That's all I have, gentlemen.
Okay. Any public comment? Okay. See everybody next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Meeting adjourned.